On the night of July 7th, 1949, a violent thunderstorm took place and a series of interesting events began to unfold. Through the loudness of the storm, there was one noise that was significantly louder than the others, which sparked curiosity and fear for many. To be more specific, the event I am talking about is the infamous Roswell incident in New Mexico. And the situation was an unidentified flying object that had crashed into the earth, leaving more than a mile-long debris across the barren desert floor, thus leaving modern history's first sign of alien life. Today, I'm going to reveal to you the historical evidence of UFOs and aliens and life forms in our universe. After countless hours of research on the topic, I have come to the conclusion that my previous belief that aliens might exist has changed to the reality that there is a strong possibility of alien existence. Now, I know the thought of UFOs has come across most of the people in this room's mind, and you'd probably just tell yourself, that's a crazy person's thought. But I'm here to tell you that that thought isn't that crazy, and I'm going to tell you why through history and through ancient history and history that isn't so old at all. The first evidence of alien life form dates back 6,000 years to a time of ancient Sumerian civilization. The Sumerians were the oldest known culture, and their engravings and texts of aliens, their engravings and texts and illustrations of aliens still are being discovered today. The Sumerians' description of UFOs are not too far off what people describe today when they claim to have seen something in the sky. The fact that these hieroglyphics have transcended time and now exist in modern culture gives Sumerian culture much validation. They were the first true intellectual culture, and extraterrestrials played a large role in their society. The Sumerian text states that there was a coexistence between the Sumerians and alien life forms. The names that were translated for these alien life forms was the Anunnaki. This is the Anunnaki right here, as they described it. It was said that the Sumerians actually learned from the Anunnaki on subjects such as mathematical system, calendar, time, and knowledge of the solar system. Drawings and texts describe the life forms as small gray figures that were 3 to 4 feet tall, with an extremely large head, such as descriptions of alien life forms that still exist for many people today. Could it be a coincidence, a made-up folk tale that has transcended through every culture and time, or did the Sumerian culture actually have contact and lived with another life form? Some of the evidence that supports the theory is the work of Chai Putai, professor of archaeology at the University of Beijing. In a report, he noted that after taking a group of students out to survey some caves in the Himalayan mountains, they discovered caves that had been artificially carved and were more like a complex system of tunnels and underground storerooms. The walls were squared and glazed as if cut into the mountain with a source of extreme heat. Inside the caves were several ancient but neatly arranged burial sites, and in them remained skeletons of strange people. He found skeletons to be about 4 feet 4 inches tall, with oversized head in relation to the otherwise slender frame. This is vital evidence to the existence of aliens because it is the first reported case of any alien type of skeleton discovered. Though there is a lot of research that links aliens with Sumerian people, the Sumerians weren't the only people historically to have been linked to living or even working with aliens. The ancient Egyptians also had great belief in extraterrestrial life. Depicted on several walls of hieroglyphics and various objects were images showing particular machines, odd creatures, and somewhat godly representations of a different being. In the Temple of the New Kingdom, a monument dedicated to Osiris features machines like planes, submarines, and helicopters. That's right here. Helicopter, submarine, some planes. Inside the tomb of Ptah lies hieroglyphic Egyptians showing offerings to a being that is significantly similar to the creatures described in ancient Sumerians. That is right here. You can barely see it, but it's like right in there, and then when you zoom in on it, that's what they have. It's the people of the time around that right there. If you can't see me, sorry, maybe show myself. A small gray a small gray being in several illustrations and appears throughout various ancient temples, tombs, and pyramids. Some of the most debated evidence of the alien life existence in ancient Egypt is the regions that are most famous with the landmarks, the pyramids. Some intellects question the ability for the civilization with primitive tools to create such large, immaculate structures. Furthermore, the pyramids are also lie in specific positions that are directed with the Earth's rotation as well as the stars' alignment. Such specific and detailed construction, coupled with seamless impossible task of moving stones weighing in the tons, create some speculation. Did aliens help create the pyramids? Did aliens help create the pyramids? Were the pyramids built to honor aliens, pointing them skyward as a sign of gratitude? The fact matters rests only solely in the facts. The Egyptians worshipped another being and described them in pictures and described machines that floated through the air, surpassing their primitive instruments. The Egyptians saw nothing in the Egyptians saw something in the skies that in fact. Now I have explained a bit about ancient evidence. Let me help evidence to you. Let me bring up some evidence that is not so ancient. Let me take you back to the beginning of the speech when I talked about Roswell, New Mexico, the Roswell incident. Though deemed by the government as classified, so it doesn't exist, the government is still this is still major evidence for alien life form existing because, as history tells it, there was an unidentified flying object that crashed into the earth, discovered by a local farmer, Mark Macbazell, and he brought the information to the authorities, and the next day the RAFF captured, there's a headline in the newspaper saying the RAFF captured a flying object. They put it in the newspaper, and immediately the next day they had a different headline saying that it was an empty story, and that this group that discovered it was the 507th bombing team, and that team actually went back on their word that said they found a flying disc and said that it was a weather balloon. Now, what makes this such a compelling argument for me, I believe, is because this 509th group that said they found this was actually the top pilots, aviators, and navigators in the military. So they were actually in charge of dropping bombs over Hiroshima, like the atomic bombs. So they knew all about flying, all about aviation, everything. And they said it was a weather balloon. So at the time, weather balloon was made of it was really simple, an orb and it weighed less than a pound of just rubberish stuff that flew in the air. So they said that they confused it with a flying saucer, which I doubt they confused. I doubt they confused. So, all in all, when you look at the evidence of ancient Sumerians who left illustrations and Egyptians who also left illustrations, those are two prominent ancient civilizations who both claim to have contact with aliens. Then you look at the Roswell incident, and it's not hard to believe that aliens in fact are out there. In conclusion, I will leave you with this quote. "It was the darndest thing I've ever seen. It was big, it was very bright, it changed colors, and it was about the size of the moon. We watched it for about 10 minutes, and none of us could figure out what it was. But one thing's for sure, I'll never make fun of people who say they've seen an unidentified flying object in the sky." Former President Jimmy Carter.
All right, Tomas, what did you think?
He had a good story to catch the audience. I was able to hear his purpose or statement, his preview. I thought he was reading a little too fast. He was reading most of the time. He could have engaged with the audience more. He had good sources in his speech. I think he let his slides do his transactions. But overall, good visuals and good explanations of his visuals. And I liked how he talked towards the end to us about the story. Him looking at us, engaging with the audience. I thought that would help. I liked this quote. It helped out the speech a lot. I think overall it was good information about his research.
All right. I like the opening story.